Hello, so today we're going to look at adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomials. This is in Unit 3C. So the idea here is mostly combining like terms. Few things that you've got to watch out for is whenever you've got parentheses, you've got to find a way of getting rid of the parentheses, and that means a lot of the time looking at the signs outside of the parentheses. So let's take a look at a few examples. So this first example here, everything we've got two sides, each in parentheses, and right in the middle here we've got this addition going on. So we're adding this polynomial to this polynomial here, and we can just rewrite this without parentheses because it's an addition problem. Okay, so the first side here, 2x to the 4 plus 8x squared minus 6x. We are adding 8x squared, we are adding negative 2x, and we are adding positive 8x to the 4. Alright, so the second thing to bear in mind here is when we combine like terms, we want to write these in descending order. So the largest exponent first. So let's start with the largest exponent. We're going to look through this. We see our largest exponent here is the 4. So we got these two here have a degree of 4. So we're going to combine these two together first. Okay, so 2x to the 4 plus 8x to the 4 is 10x to the 4. Okay. Now we have squared to the power of 2 is the next largest. We have an 8x squared, and we have another 8x squared. They're added together is, so we've got positive 16. 8 plus 8 is 16, x squared. And finally, the third degree we have is the third highest degree we have is 1. And so we're looking at this negative 6x and this negative 2x. So negative 6x plus negative 2x is negative 8x. The last thing there, I suppose, I'll highlight to you as I did this is the sign in front of a term belongs with the term. So always keep the sign with the term. You'll see that I've done that throughout. So this is what we've got for our first one right there. Let's take a look at the second one. The second one is a little bit different because we have a negative here. So what's happening here is we're taking this polynomial here and we're subtracting this polynomial here. Okay, so to do that, we're going to distribute the negative into this parentheses as we remove them. So this parentheses just disappears and stays as is, so 4x plus 5x to the 4 minus 6x squared. And now we've got to remember we're subtracting 6x squared, so we got minus 6x squared. We're subtracting negative 3x, so that's plus 3x. And we're subtracting positive 4x to the 4, so that's minus 4x to the 4. Okay. So let's combine like terms again. So the first one here, we've got our highest degree is 4. So we've got a positive 5x to the 4. We've got a negative 4x to the 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. So that's just simply x to the 4. We don't need to write the 1 because it doesn't change anything. The second one we have is squared. We have a negative 6x squared and another negative 6x squared. So that's negative 6 minus 6 is negative 12x squared. And finally, we've got a 4x and we've got a 3x. Add those together gives us plus 7x. Next example here is similar, right? Once again, we've got a negative, right? We've got a negative, so we're going to change the signs in the second set of parentheses. So we get 3x squared plus 4x minus 2x to the 4th. And now we subtract 8x. Subtract negative 4x squared, so that's plus 4x squared. And we subtract positive 5x to the 4, that makes it negative 5x to the 4. And now once again, we're going to combine like terms, largest first. Okay, so we've got our two x to the 4s here, so that's a negative 2x to the 4 and negative 5x to the 4. Negative 7x to the 4. We've got a 3x squared and a 4x squared. That gives us 6x squared. And we have a 4x and a negative 8x. That gives us negative 4x. We're done with that. This last one here, again, we've got a negative in the middle, so we've got to change all the signs here. Now watch out, we've got two terms here. We've got two variables here. It doesn't change anything. Every term has to be completely like, right? You'll see what happens, okay? So our start stays the same, x to the 4, y to the 3rd, plus 7x minus 5y to the 4. Now we subtract 2x. We subtract negative 6y to the 4. That gives us positive 6y to the 4. And we subtract positive 5x to the 4, y to the 3rd. So that's a minus 5x to the 4, y to the 3rd. Okay. Now, we go in alphabetical order. X's come first, right? And we continue with the x's until they're gone, and then we move on to the y's, okay? So that's the one thing where writing in order of exponents that you've got to bear in mind, okay? So the first thing here, we're going to go with our highest degree of x, which is x to the 4, y to the 3rd, and negative x to the 4, y to the 3rd. Sorry, negative 5x to the 4, y to the 3rd. That gives us a negative 4 x to the 4, y to the 3rd. The next set of x's, right? The next set of x's, and I just noticed that I forgot an x right there. The next set of x's is this 7x and the negative 2x, so that gives us plus 5x. Okay, now we move on to the y's because we've finished with our x's. There's no more x's. Now, just because you've already used a y doesn't mean you use it again. If it's used, right? This y was part of the x's, right? So we don't redo it, okay? Now we move on to the y's. We have a positive 6y to the 4 and a negative 5y to the 4 combined together gives us just simply y to the 4, so plus y to the 4. That's how you simplify, how you do this with the simple versions of it. We're going to take a quick look at distribution next. So you may have seen this with a few things you may have seen. Distributing, you might see that when you have, with distribution, you might see something along the lines of B plus C plus D, anything like that, and where you might have used these arches to remind yourself of how you distribute the A. So the A needs to be multiplied times every single term inside. Likewise, you might have seen, hopefully in quadratics, you might have noticed a situation where you have distribution of every term happening. This is what this method we call the FOIL method, right? So the FOIL method, if you don't remember what FOIL stands for, it is first. So the first terms you multiply together, the outside terms you multiply together, the inside terms you multiply together, and the last terms you multiply together. That's what the FOIL method is. And of course, if you're observant, you'll notice that goes the first terms multiplied times everything in the second set of parentheses, and the second term is multiplied times everything in the second parentheses. Essentially, when you got two sets of parentheses together, everything inside one is multiplied times everything inside the other. So it's worthwhile just recalling all that while we look at that. So here we look at that first one where all we're doing is multiplying the coefficient, which is the outside term, that's a coefficient, times everything inside the parentheses. So we got 5x squared times 3x squared. Well, what we do is we multiply the coefficients first. 5 times 3 is 15. And then we multiply the variables. And the variable here, if you remember, the same variable, when you're multiplying, you add the exponents. So we've got x, 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay? So 5 times 7. 5 times 7 is 35. X squared times x is x cubed, right? So all you're doing is there's a 2 there, there's a 1 there that you don't see. That's what you use, okay? So 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. And x squared times x to the 0 is simply x squared, right? Because 2 plus 0 is 2. And that's all you got right there. There you have it. We're perfectly happy with that. Okay, we just multiplied it. This second example here, like a quadratic, we look at it. We look at the first terms, outside terms, inside terms, and the last terms. Okay, so that's how we're going to look at it without the arches, because it gets a bit messy. So the first terms is 7x times 7x gives us 49x squared, because 7 times 7 is 49. X times x is x squared. Okay, the outside term, 7x times 6. So that's plus 7 times 6 is 42, and x is not multiplied times anything, so you got the x there, right? And the inside terms, you get negative 6 times 7x. That's minus 42x, right? And the last terms, negative 6 times positive 6, is, of course, negative 36. So this is where you might actually see that when you combine these two terms here together, these two x terms, you'll notice that they will cancel each other out. So you, of course, have 49x squared minus 36, which is something that you might be familiar with. Okay, finishing this up quickly, we get the same idea with this. All right, so we get 48x squared, right, is our first terms. Outside terms is plus 40x. Inside terms is plus 18x, and last terms is plus 15x, and we can combine those inside terms to get 48x squared plus 58x plus 15. Recall right here that this is the same idea. We got 5x plus 3 times 5x minus 3. And we apply the FOIL method again. Sorry, times 5x plus 3 again. Sorry there. FOIL method again gives us 25x squared plus 15x plus 15x plus 9, and we can combine the middle to get 25x squared plus 30x plus 9. All right, there you have it.